The next summary that we're looking forward to is continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment. CI/CD/CD. Well, this is a very short chapter, so I'm going to give you a few hints because we don't have an exercise in here, but just the overview or the outlook on what can you do with this stuff now that we are deploying in Docker and now that you've seen what is required to actually deploy a new Liferay instance with Docker, an updated Liferay instance. That of course can be equipped with your own custom plugins, with your actual plugins that you are running, with extra marketplace plugins and so on. You see it's very easy, and if you just fully automate that build process, of course you can fully automate the Docker process as well. And I can't stress it enough, this is Liferay training, not Docker training, and not HA proxy, not any of the other trainings. However, just think of what you can do with them. And as we have here, continuous integration, delivery, and deployment. You can basically be frequently updating, you can be on the latest version, be it of your own plugins, be it of Liferay's fix packs, be it of the service packs. Speaking of fix packs and service packs, this is actually something I want to recommend to stay really, really well on top, because the smaller the steps you have to update, the easier it will be. If you do an update every other year, then naturally you have a big step, big leap every single time, and it will be a big effort. If you have a small step from one fix pack to the other, then you'll have a small step, small changes, and if something goes wrong, you will figure it out immediately. If you have a new plugin on your end, if you have a new third-party plugin, just an updated third-party plugin, and something won't work, you can easily find that in your integration environment if you test it immediately. So bugs are caught easier. The software is definitely built on a different machine than the developer. That's the continuous integration part when you have an integration server or a build server. And with a single step, I like to say, how much can I break in a single day? So I want a daily update. And if that goes wrong, I can go back to yesterday's version. If I do a yearly upgrade, I can still go back to the yearly to yesteryear's version, last year's version. So that's a little bit of a bigger step. So I don't really want that. I probably don't need to give you the explanation for continuous integration. Nevertheless, just in few words, like how do you build your Docker file? How do you build your deployment? Actually, let's rather go with how do you build your deployment, because I don't mandate that you use Docker. Many people do these days, but to be honest, even I don't in all of the systems that I set up. So continuous integration basically means that you build all the time, multiple times per day, whenever there's some change coming in. And that typically applies to your own developers that develop their own custom plugins or your own custom plugins. And then you run those systems fully script with all of the tests that you can think of. The unit tests are what the developers run and what the integration server or the build server runs. And then, of course, when you have standardized deployments, integration tests and functional tests are a piece of cake because you can always point them at the same system, which changes under the observance of the functional tests. So that's actually quite easy. And then with continuous delivery and continuous deployment, you can basically bring those techniques into production, where you can say at the flip of a switch, you can deploy the latest version, and with another flip of the switch, if something goes wrong or went wrong, you can bring it back to the previous version. In my eyes, that's a perfect way to introduce rolling deployments, to introduce being always on the edge, being always fully patched, and being always on the latest version of your software. And if something goes wrong, how much could you have broken since yesterday? Just go back to yesterday's version, fix it, learn from it, and do it again tomorrow or in an hour. We have the little box here, CI, CD, and CD are a collection of good practices, if not best practices, that improve software quality through the automation of building, testing, packaging, and deploying software. So continuous integration is where developers commit software changes to a common code base, and that code base is built and tested automatically. Continuous delivery is the practice of building, testing, deploying, and packaging an application, I would say in any system anywhere. But if you really go into production, then we talk about continuous deployment, where you actually you like or you trust that your system will be able to handle it. And I would say that's what you should strive for, because not only will this make updates easier to your daily system, to your daily routine, you will be confident that your system continues to run because you're aware you might update every single time, every single day, but also the upgrade to the next version of Liferay will be so much smoother because you are already in the process of updating and updating and updating.